Wednesday. It is Steelers Talk Live here in Week 17 of the 2023 NFL season. Shout out to all the real ones joining us at the beginning of today's live stream. We've got a bunch of great stuff to discuss today as we get ready for that New Year's Eve matchup on Sunday afternoon with the Seattle Seahawks. On today's show, I got the latest news and rumors surrounding the black and gold. Russell Wilson, it looks like he won't be a Denver Bronco anymore. Could he be a Pittsburgh Steeler? I'm going to let you know my take on that here in about 5 minutes or so once we get to our first segment. Also, we got a couple more QB targets for the Pittsburgh Steelers if they decide to move on from Kenny Pickett. There's been some more ideas being thrown out there. Going to let you guys know what I think of those. And then also Kenny Pickett says that he feels ready to play on Sunday. Is there still a potential chance that he could actually start over Mason Rudolph on Sunday afternoon? Also, we got MelKiper Jr.'s top 10 draft targets for the Pittsburgh Steelers in round 1 of the 2024 NFL Draft. Just getting going with our draft coverage. We had a draft video last week on the show. We're doing another one this week because you guys enjoyed it so much. And then, of course, as always, we have the Steelers Talk live mailbag where you guys can have your voice heard on the show. So here's how you get on, okay? So here's how you get your question, your idea, your comment on the show. Use hashtag Steelers or Super Chat to get your question on the show. The only way to guarantee that your question gets on is if you Super Chat. So skip the line. Make sure your question gets on and have your voice heard on today's show by Super Chatting down there in the live chat. Welcome in, Jeffrey Cooperstein. How are we doing?
Hello, Jack Sperry. How are you today?
I am doing just fine. We are both going to the Dallas Mavericks basketball game tonight after work, which should be very fun. So that's why
Use stat 20 on game time.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're wearing your Mavs jersey today. Very nice. I'm wearing just a little bit of a green sweater. So
Mavs colors.
Mavs colors. It'll be good. It'll be a good time tonight, man. I can't wait. I've been wanting to get to a Mavs game all season long, and now we finally get the chance to do that. But first, we're here to talk some Steelers football with you guys. So let's start with playoff talk, baby. Playoffs. I mean, it seems like last week the playoffs were completely out of reach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They had just lost 3 games in a row. Two of those games were against 2-10 football clubs, and then another one was a blowout loss on the road. And it just didn't seem like the Steelers were really trending towards a playoff berth. But last week, Mason Rudolph comes in, saves Christmas. And now, you get the Seattle Seahawks, not a very good football team, in my opinion.
They are not.
On the road this week, very beatable football, winnable football game. And then you get the Ravens next week. And what's interesting about the Ravens game next week is that if they can beat the Miami Dolphins this week, Coop, they've got the number 1 seed locked up. So there's really no reason for them to play their starters next week against the Steelers unless they just want to take the Steelers out of the playoffs and keep their guys fresh.
Yeah, I think if they beat the Dolphins, they'll maybe play their starters for a half against the Steelers in Week 18. So we'll see. I mean, it's looking more and more likely that they can win out. But even if the Steelers win out, that doesn't mean they're going to make the playoffs. So.
Yeah, so I think right now the New York Times has their chances at over 80%, though, if they win out. So I do think that if the Steelers win out, they will end up making the playoffs. They do need a little bit of help, I think, from the Jaguars and maybe the Bills. I can't remember the exact details. But, yeah, well, let me know down there in the comment section, guys. Will the Steelers make the playoffs? Yes or no? Coop, what is your prediction?
I think they're going to miss. I don't think they're going to make it. I want them to.
Do you think they're going to win out and just miss, or do you think they're going to lose a game here?
I think they'll lose to Baltimore because Baltimore is going to lose to Miami.
You think Baltimore loses to Miami, they play everybody, and then they beat the Steelers?
Yep.
Okay, that's not a terrible prediction. I mean, it could absolutely happen. Miami's playing some really good football right now. But I think that there's actually a legitimate shot here, all right? So it's kind of like last year, going into that final game of the season against the Cleveland Browns. If you win, you have a chance to get in. Hopefully Joe Flacco doesn't fuck us again this year. Because last year,
He's been doing a lot of that.
Dude, I swear to God, Joe Flacco exists to just torture Steelers fans. He was a Steelers nemesis for years with the Baltimore Ravens. Then he goes to the Jets, and he ruins our playoff chances last year because he can't even score 10 points against the shitty Dolphins defense in the season finale. And now he goes to the Browns, and he's balling out, and the Browns are going to make the playoffs this year. So I hate Joe Flacco with a burning passion. If I'd have to predict right now if the Steelers make the playoffs, I'd have to say no. But I think they may have like a 40% shot. Am I crazy to have it that high? I don't know, man.
We'll get to your super chat in just a moment, but we need to get to our sponsor read for today.
So Mo Love came in with a $5 super chat. We'll get to that in just a second. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor of today's live stream, which is Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. If you want to spice up your game days this NFL season, Prize Picks is going to be perfect for you because it's a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game. And if you're wondering how daily fantasy sports work, here's how. You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they'll go for more or less than their Prize Picks projection, and you can even win up to 25 times your money on any entry if you hit. So this is my Prize Picks projection this week for Seattle Seahawks versus Pittsburgh Steelers on New Year's Eve. I got the less on Geno Smith passing yards. I think the Steelers defense does a pretty darn good job. George Pickens, I think, has another great game this week against the Seattle Seahawks after last week just completely bouncing back with a fantastic performance. Took the more on his receiving yards. I took the less on DK Metcalf receiving yards, though I think Joey Porter Jr. is going to blanket him all day long. You can get your picks in before we kick things off on Sunday by checking it out now at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. With Prize Picks, it takes less than 60 seconds to make your picks, so get started right now. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. Hey, a $5 super chat from Mo Love. Says, Kenny says he wants to play. I hope we keep our hot hand running with Mason. So we're actually going to be talking about this a little bit here during the News and Rumors segment. Yeah, Kenny Pickett says that he's ready to go. He feels ready to play. But there's also another report saying that the Steelers need Kenny Pickett to earn the starting job over Mason Rudolph in practice in order to start this week. So, and honestly, I'm just not sure if Kenny Pickett's a good enough quarterback at this point in his career to prove in practice this week that he is a better performer than Mason Rudolph. I think Mason, after going over the film last week, I think he had the best performance in terms of just getting the ball out on time, in terms of delivering accurate footballs than any other quarterback so far this year for the black and gold. And honestly, it wasn't close. Now, it wasn't a perfect performance. He did miss that slot fade to Deontay Johnson, which would have been another wide open touchdown for him. But overall, he played with good footwork, good pocket presence. He stood in there, and he delivered shots down the field to George Pickens specifically, and things really worked out nicely for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. I agree with my friend Mo Love here. Even if Kenny Pickett is ready to go 100% healthy, I'm sticking with Mason Rudolph this week at least to start the game.
Mason Rudolph's going to play.
Yeah, Coop's been trying to tell me, like, for sure Mason Rudolph's going to play.
For sure.
I've been trying to explain to him that Mike Tomlin was playing kind of footsie with the idea of maybe keeping the door open for Pickett, but I really do think it's going to be Rudolph this weekend, or at least it should be, in my opinion.
In the words of Jack Sperry, there is no way Kenny Pickett is starting this game.
Oh, my goodness. All right, so speaking of quarterbacks, who do you guys want to be the starter or to be the starting quarterback for the Steelers next year? Do you think Kenny Pickett deserves one more shot with a new offensive coordinator? Do you want to trade for a guy like Justin Fields or Kyler Murray? Sign a guy like Kirk Cousins? Who's the guy that you want to be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2024? Let me know down there in the comments section. Okay.
Someone says sign Duck Hodges.
No, do not sign Duck Hodges. Duck Hodges stinks.
He's a Steelers legend.
He's a Steelers legend. He's got a legendary name, but he stinks at football, man. I'm sorry. All right, so we got a super chat menu today. For a $10 super chat, we will sing the Rudolph, the third string QB song for you guys. All right, that was a hit last week. So if you guys want us to sing that, $10 super chats. $5 super chats, we'll do Cocks Chant.
Which I guess we owe one.
And I guess we owe one, so we can get that started. Do you want the first part or the second part?
I'll do the first part.
Okay.
Sorry.
Cocks.
Sorry.
Cocks.
Sorry.
Cocks. It's just too good, man. I can't wait to be doing that all day long on Sunday afternoon. Also, we did get a fresh pack of tortillas
I saw them
in the office. So $20 super chats. Coop will slap the living hell out of me with a tortilla. And then $100 total today. You join Steelers Talk Gold Club, lifetime membership. You get a shout out on every single show for life, and you get an awesome super chat sticker next to your name every time that you donate to the channel, and we put your things up here on the show. So shout out to Austin Tardif, Mo Love, Brian Love, Anthony Fuller, Nathan Glass, James Lombardo, DJ V, Patty Gustafson, Elliptic 6, Alexander Watson, Zach Eckert, Troy Hart, Andrew Longoria, Jesse Johnson, Go Blue, Buckeye, Samuel Pugh, Hot Rod 24, Black and Gold Emperor 40, Lord Buddy Bear, Max Payne, Chad Corley, F1 Video Watcher, Steelers Dad, K Drizzy, Andrew Arnold, Jesper Turkelson, Jacob Wizarek, Nightmare, Sporting XD, DJ KJ, Gwendolyn 2002, Latanya, Etheria, and Jesper. Thank you guys so much for all of your support and joining Gold Club. And then also special shout out to all of our Black Diamonds. These are the people that have put in $500 or more on a singular live stream. These are the craziest of the crazy. We just added our 7th one this week. So shout out to Samuel Pugh, F1 Video Watcher, Nathan Glass, Kurgan Cold, Go Blue Buckeye, Elliptic 6, and Gwendolyn. The next could be you if you put out or if you put out $500 on this stream, which you certainly don't have to. But if you want to become a Steelers Talk legend, you certainly can. All right, but you know what? We appreciate everybody that tunes into our shows, not just the super chatters. We love every single member of Steelers Nation out there that comes and hangs out with us. Make sure you click that thumbs up icon. We got about 100 people watching right now to kick off today's show. We got 25 likes. Let's get to 30 likes here. We need 5 more likes to kick off today's show. Big shout out to Mr. Mo Love, Gold Club member, who put in that $5 super chat. Thank you so much for that, my friend. And look at that. We just got 10 likes like that, Coop. Absolutely fantastic. All right, so coming up here, we're going to be going over the latest news and rumors when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, mostly quarterbacks today. In fact, I think it's all quarterbacks today.
Pretty much.
Talking about Russell Wilson, talking about Geno Smith, kind of a surprise quarterback target that ESPN connected to the Steelers that I really didn't see coming. And then also talking about Kenny Pickett's injury, whether or not he still has a chance to play this weekend against the Seattle Seahawks and start over Mason Rudolph. Then in our third segment today, we got the top 10 MelKiper Jr. first-round draft targets for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Going to let you know the top 10 guys Mel thinks could be landing in Pittsburgh next year in the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft. And then finally, well, not finally, in the middle here, in the second segment, we're going to be doing the Steelers Talk Live mailbag. Again, super chat like Mo Love or use hashtag Steelers along with your question, comment, idea, whatever the case may be down there in the live chat. Really do appreciate all of you guys. Coop, are we getting to go? Are we good to go here?
Give me like 20 seconds.
Coop needs 20 seconds. So what can we do in 20 seconds here to get things going? I don't know, man. So, I mean, the Russell Wilson stuff is kind of crazy, isn't it, Coop? I mean,
we'll see.
I mean, he still has 5 years left on his contract.
And he stinks.
And they're benching him straight up because he stinks. And Sean Payton's going to want to get rid of him.
They say they're benching him because he stinks. They're really benching him because of the money.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got 9 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in his last 4 games. I don't think it's performance-based.
Oh, we want the Tyler Jones video here, right? In the first segment?
In the first segment, yeah.
Okay, let me get it real quick.
It's
in your temp,
It's
right?
in my temp folder, yeah. So, you know, I will say, coming up here in this news and rumors segment, there's one quarterback target for the Pittsburgh Steelers that ESPN's Bill Barnwell connected to Pittsburgh that I think you guys are going to be very intrigued by. Somebody that you have to go get in free agency, somebody that's a veteran, and somebody that Barnwell says can be brought in to compete for the starting job next year with Kenny Pickett. And when I heard the name, I was kind of taken aback by it because I really didn't see that one coming. A $10 super chat.
No way.
Here from Just Webb's World, I guess we're going to be singing Mason, the third string QB, coming up here. But Just Webb's World, my guy with a $10 super chat, says, I'm good on the Whack-A-Mole song. So I guess he doesn't want the Rudolph song. Says, what pick should make us want to grab a quarterback? Because if we win out, we are not going to have a high pick in the first round. So So if we win out, right now I think the Steelers sit 17th in the official NFL draft order. And I know there's some people out there saying, I just want the Steelers to lose the final 2 games so they get a better draft pick. I am not a part of that playoff run here with how bad the offense has been, how bad the quarterback play has been, and Mike Tomlin can find a way to turn this thing around. I think that shows that this team is not that far away from really competing.
Oh, guess what?
Do we get another one?
It's a Tortilla Slap.
Oh, it's a Gold Club member.
Jacob
coming in here with a $20 super chat. What's up, Jacob? Haven't seen you in a while, my friend. He says, what do y'all think of cleaning house of the coaching staff except Tomlin, wide receiver coach Fishman Jackson, special teams coach, running back coach, and our defensive line coach? Get a new DC, O-line coach, DB coach, and linebackers coach. Now, I'm not going to go into super specifics about which coaches need to be replaced, but listen, I think that the biggest change that needs to be made here, Steelers fans, but this defense is giving up less than 20 points per game, so let's keep that in perspective. That's definitely not terrible, so I think that he's going to remain the defensive coordinator. The O-line coach, Pat Meyer, I think absolutely needs to be replaced. No question about it. So, Cooper, are we doing this Tortilla Slap before we get into our first segment, or are we doing it in between segments? Okay, so before we get to our first segment, we're going to get to the slap, courtesy of Jacob Wizarak. I hope I'm saying that right, my friend. But good question right there, man. We'll put that at the top of today's mailbag. I like that question a lot. I did not think we were going to get a Tortilla Slap today. So Tim Green says Seattle is tough. I think it's a tough place to play. I think Lumen Field, super loud environment. The stadium is literally built for big time crowd noise. But the Seattle Seahawks themselves, I just don't really see as a top flight team in this league. If you look at the offensive trends, both offensive and defensively, you can check them out on our preview video that we put out yesterday. They're bottom half in the league in almost every category. I think the only ones that they're not are giveaways on offense. Other than that, they're 16th or lower in every single category. Yards per game, points per game, yards per play, third down, red zone, the things you really look at. Seattle's not a really good football team. So I think that if you can beat the Cincinnati Bengals the way that you beat them last week, if Mason Rudolph continues to play good ball, and you can kind of keep a lid on the big-time playmakers that they have there in Seattle, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers can absolutely win that football game here on Sunday. Coop's got the tortilla right here. All right, you ready?
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Ah! Those good old tortilla slaps, man, I tell you. All right, we're going to be getting going here on our first segment. News and rumors coming up, talking about Russell Wilson, whether or not I think it's a good idea for the Steelers to make a trade for him. We're going to be talking about Geno Smith. We're going to be talking about a little bit about Jacoby Brissett. We're going to be talking about Kenny Pickett and his latest injury update and whether or not he has a chance to actually play on Sunday as either Mason Rudolph's backup or potentially even be elevated to start over Rudolph by Sunday's matchup. It's all coming to you pretty soon here. Cooper, are we ready to get things going? All right, Coop says that we're good to go. Let's get into this edition of Steelers News and Rumors coming at you right now. Could Russell Wilson be on his way to the Steel City? I don't think he's going to be in Denver for much longer. I'll be giving you guys my thoughts on potentially trading for Russell Wilson in just a second. Also, ESPN has linked 2 potential Kenny Pickett replacements to the Pittsburgh Steelers, one via trade, one via free agency. Going to let you know who those 2 guys are here in just a second as well. And then also, could Kenny Pickett actually get healthy enough to start over Mason Rudolph on Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks? Make sure you stick around for the answer to that question. But first, do me a favor, subscribe to Steelers Talk right now for every breaking news update this offseason. When the Steelers hire a new offensive coordinator, if for some reason they fire Mike Tomlin, if they get a new quarterback this year, and of course free agency and draft updates, breaking news coverage, we got it for you right here on Steelers Talk. And if that's not enough to make you click that subscribe button, Seahawks Today host Tyler Jones, he's also our Ravens host, by the way, offers a challenge to Steelers fans everywhere.
What up, Steeler fans? Tyler Jones here, Chat Sports and Seahawks Today. And we got a sub-battle going on this week between Seahawks Today and Pittsburgh Steelers Talk. And I would love nothing more than to crush you in all your souls and to take you out of the playoff picture as well. Who's going to be your quarterback? Are you going to have to get Big Ben out of the graveyard to go play quarterback for you, or Tommy Maddox or something like that? Your quarterback situation's pathetic. We're going with Geno. Things are looking good in Seattle. We're going to make the playoffs, and we're going to beat your ass on Sunday. So get ready for a beatdown. We're going to be in the sub-battle. We're going to beat you on the football field as well. Let's go Seahawks. Let's get revenge for Super Bowl 40 while we're at it. Big Ben was short. You guys know it. Let's go Hawks. Beat those Steelers.
If there's anything I know about Tej, is that he's got an extremely big and loud mouth, all right? So let's shut it for him right now. Click that subscribe button right now. Seahawks Today is outpacing us by just 2 subscribers, so help us get over the edge right now. Do your part. Click that subscribe button and help us beat the Seahawks Today team right here on Steelers Talk. All right, let's get into this week's news and rumors, starting with Adam Schefter here, coming to us from a news blast from Denver, where he says Broncos head coach Sean Payton has informed his team that Jarrett Stidham will start Sunday versus the Chargers with Russell Wilson as the backup. With a 1-3 record in the last 4 games, Denver is looking to spark its offense and see what it has in Stidham. So with Russell Wilson looking like he could be out of the picture there in Denver, could he be an option for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Because now he's going to add to a list here of quarterbacks that could be available for the Steelers to potentially land here during the 2024 offseason. So let's start with his 2023 stats here, where honestly, they haven't really been all that bad. Russell Wilson has actually had a much better season here in 2023 under Sean Payton than he did last year under Nathaniel Hackett. 66.3% completion percentage, over 200 yards per game, a nice touchdown to interception ratio at 24-8 over the last 4 games. By the way, it's 9-2, so Russell Wilson's actually been playing better, even though the team hasn't really been winning. And then the quarterback rating is pretty decent there at 97.5 as well. And then you look at Russell Wilson's numbers throughout his career. You know, he's somebody that used to be a bona fide MVP candidate year in and year out with the Seattle Seahawks. But, you know, last year with the Broncos really didn't play well. And then over the last couple seasons in Seattle, he was still a good quarterback. That's why Denver traded all that they did for him and then paid him all that money. But, you know, overall, over the last couple of years, he just hasn't been that same quarterback as he was there with the Seattle Seahawks. And if you ask me if I think the Pittsburgh Steelers should trade for Russell Wilson, I would say there is no way the Steelers should go out and trade for Russell Wilson. Right? And there's a number of reasons why this would be a terrible idea for Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin to pursue. Let's start with the contract situation, shall we? Because this is a doozy. 5 years left on his current contract. 5, all right? Next year, the cap hit isn't awful, I guess, at $25.4 million. But then after that, the final 4 years of his contract, his cap hit gets over $53 million for all 4 of those seasons. That is one of the highest cap hits in all of the NFL over that 4-year stretch. And there is no way I am willing to pay Russell Wilson that kind of money, especially because the Steelers just straight up can't afford to. All right, even if they wanted to trade for Russell Wilson, they don't have the cap space. They're already paying TJ Watt at the top of the market. They're giving Alex Highsmith, they gave Alex Highsmith that big extension that kicks in next year. Minka Fitzpatrick and Cam Hayward are still making big money. Deontay Johnson still has a pretty big contract. And because of all the money that the Steelers have spent for the 2024 season already, they already have negative cap space for next season, all right? So even if they wanted to go out and add a $25+ million cap hit for a quarterback, they just can't do it. So not only shouldn't the Steelers make this trade, I don't think it's even feasibly possible, financially possible for the Steelers to really make this work. And I really don't think it would be worth it, even if the Steelers could pull this off from a financial standpoint. I think Wilson would be an upgrade over what the Steelers have had in Kenny Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky and Mason Rudolph this year to this point. But if you're going to be taking on a $25+ million cap hit in 2024 and then a cap hit that gets all the way up to $53+ million over the next 4 seasons after that, I just think there is absolutely no way Russell Wilson is worth that kind of money. All right, so if it's not going to be Russell Wilson, who should it be? Let me know down there in the comments section. Who do you want for to be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers here in 2024? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So whenever you get a second here, when YouTube throws you an ad break in a couple of seconds, do me a favor, find that pinned comment at the top of the comment section and answer today's pinned question. All right, so let's kind of shift over to what ESPN thinks would be a good idea for the Pittsburgh Steelers to pursue if they wanted to replace Kenny Pickett. And they kind of connected 2 quarterbacks to the black and gold, one via trade and one via free agency. The one via trade that they thought would be a good idea is current Seattle Seahawks starter that we'll see this Sunday, Geno Smith. All right, this comes from Bill Barnwell, an ESPN writer. And listen, Geno Smith is a pretty decent quarterback, all right? You look at his stats this year, 64.4 completions, over 240 yards per game passing, pretty darn good. The touchdowns have been a bit lower this year since last year at just 15, and the interceptions are at 9. Not a fantastic ratio, and then the quarterback rating is at 89.1. All right, and, I actually did my scouting report this week on Geno, so it comes at perfect timing. I think some of the pros that you get with Geno is he's got great arm strength. He can move in the pocket really well. He can feel pressure, can move inside that pocket well. He's got great size, so he can see over offensive linemen. And then he's got a great deep ball throwing down the field. I think that deep ball would pair really nicely with George Pickens. But the cons with him is that he can be a bit too aggressive throwing the ball down the field, leading to turnover-worthy throws. The mobility and playmaking instincts just aren't going to do much for you. And then the injury concerns, he has been dealing with injuries this year, and he is getting older as well. So I think he's a pretty decent NFL starter, and he would be better than anybody the Steelers have on their roster right now. But the problem is the Steelers can't afford Geno Smith either. They can't afford Russell Wilson. I mean, they really can't afford Russ, but they can't afford Geno Smith either. You take a look at his contract situation right now. He just signed an extension last year, 2 years left on his current deal. His cap hit next year, if he's traded, would go to 22.5. So that's a pretty big cap hit right there for someone like Geno Smith. And then 2025, it gets even bigger there to $25 million. So I just don't know how the Steelers can possibly pull this off. Now, of course, you can restructure, you can cut some guys, you can do a bunch of different things, some different tricks to create cap space. But even if you create that much cap space, I'm just not sure it's worth the money to go out and get a guy like Geno Smith, who, in my opinion, is not really worth that kind of money at this point in the NFL season. Now, coming up here, we got another ESPN QB target that they want the Steelers to consider in free agency. But before we get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. If you're looking for a way to spice up your game days this NFL season, I think PrizePicks will be perfect for you because it's a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game. You might be asking yourselves, Jack, how does daily fantasy sports work? Well, here's how you play. You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they'll go for more or less than their PrizePicks projection. You can even win up to 25 times your money on any entry. So if you know ball, you can absolutely make some money with PrizePicks today. And even this week here in Week 16. So this is my PrizePicks entry for Week 17 for the Steelers game against the Seahawks. I'm going to take the less on Geno Smith passing yards. I think this defense is going to do a good job corralling and putting a lid on the Seattle Seahawks offense. I'm going to take the more on George Pickens receiving yards after his bounce back game last week against the Bengals. I'm going to take the less on DK Metcalf receiving yards because he's going to have Joey Porter Jr. all over him, and I don't think he's going to have that good of a football game. You can get your picks in now before the start of Week 17 by checking it out at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. So this one kind of threw me for a loop, man. I'm not going to lie. Bill Barnwell, in that same article connecting the Steelers to Geno Smith, says that if you don't want to go get Geno, you can just sign Case Keenum to compete with Kenny Pickett in free agency next year. And I'm not too sure how I feel about this potential idea for the Pittsburgh Steelers at all. You look at his stats this year in relief of C.J. Stroud, and the completion percentage, not all that great, 63.9. I guess it's not terrible. Yards per game, 229. It's not awful, but he's only thrown one touchdown to one interception. The quarterback rating is at 79.5. So he's been far from terrible. I think he's a capable backup. But bringing him in as a legitimate veteran, capable starter to compete with Kenny Pickett, I just don't really see how that works for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think the only way that this really happens is if they really want to keep Kenny Pickett and they really want him to start next year, but they don't want to keep Mitchell Trubisky or Mason Rudolph as a backup, and you want to bring in Case Keenum as a true backup. Because I really do not see Case Keenum as somebody that's going to be able to compete, even with a guy like Kenny Pickett, for a starting job here in the National Football League, at least not anymore. And if you're looking for a guy that can come in and compete with Pickett and truly give him a run for his money, I would recommend going and getting Jacoby Brissett from the Washington Commanders. And you know what? The Commanders just named Jacoby their starter for probably the last 2 weeks of this season, starting this week against the San Francisco 49ers and Eric Bieniemy's offense. And I'd recommend you guys checking out that football game before the Steelers play the Seahawks in the afternoon period, because Jacoby Brissett has played really good football this year. In limited action, he's only had 5 drives this year in the first-team offense where he's had a pass attempt, but in those 5 drives, 78.3 completion percentage, almost a touchdown, or almost a first down, I should say, every time he throws the football. The touchdown percentage is at a whopping 13%. That is absolutely astronomical, and he hasn't thrown an interception. The quarterback rating is also through the roof here through the first 5 drives of his season here. And then last year with the Cleveland Browns, very solid starter, was a top 15 graded quarterback in the National Football League, played a lot better statistically than Deshaun Watson when he eventually got back from his suspension. What a scumbag, by the way, Deshaun Watson is. But anyway, you look at Jacoby Brissett, 64% completions, pretty good number there. It's a run-heavy offense, so they only got to 163 yards per game passing, but 12-6 touchdown-to-interception ratio is pretty decent if you ask me. And he's definitely a capable starter in this league, and he has been for a very, very long time. And if the Steelers end up doing what I think they're going to do, or at least what I hope that they're going to do, and Mike Tomlin is going to hire his buddy, Eric Bieniemy, after the Commanders let him loose this season, I think that Jacoby Brissett going from Washington with Eric Bieniemy to Pittsburgh with Eric Bieniemy would be a perfect fit. All right, it would be awesome to have somebody with experience in that offense come in and really give Kenny Pickett a run for his money and really make the kid earn the job. I mean, I think if you bring in Case Keenum, I think he's more of just a true backup. But if you bring in a guy like Jacoby Brissett that's actually had some recent success and could actually be a good quarterback for this team moving forward, I think it gives Pickett lights a fire under his ass a little bit. And who knows, maybe even he turns into a good quarterback with an offseason with Jacoby Brissett to challenge him every step of the way. Now, coming up next, I'm going to let you know if Kenny Pickett could start this week, if he is healthy enough to start over Mason Rudolph. But before I get into that, do me a favor, click that thumbs up icon and like today's video if you are a Steelers Talk real one and you support the show. All right, so let's get into Kenny Pickett here, where he told the media here today on Wednesday that he feels ready to play. He feels like that ankle is ready to go, and he's ready to get the start over the Seattle Seahawks here in Week 17. Now, earlier in the week, Mike Tomlin at his press conference had this to say about Kenny Pickett's injury status and how it might affect his availability. He says there's multiple variables in the discussion, and Kenny's health or his relative health is a component of it as well. So based on the comments that Mike Tomlin had at his press conference today, I'll just say this, guys. Don't be stunned if Kenny Pickett is named the starter before the Steelers begin their game on Sunday afternoon. I know that Tomlin has already said that Rudolph is the starter heading into the week, but he had a number of opportunities to say straight up that Mason would start over Kenny Pickett if Pickett is healthy enough, and he refused to do so. So if Kenny Pickett ends up getting completely cleared by his doctors here, it really wouldn't shock me whatsoever if Mike Tomlin pulls the trigger for Kenny Pickett and he's the one starting over Mason Rudolph by Sunday afternoon. But I really do think because Mason played so well last week, Pickett's probably going to have to earn it in practice and really show he is the superior quarterback. All right, so now what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comment section. What is the percent chance that Kenny Pickett is the Steelers' starting quarterback for the 2024 season? You put it on a scale of 0 to 100 for me. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. For me personally, my answer is going to be 60%. I think it's more likely than not that Pickett ends up coming back. I do think that they'll end up signing a veteran or potentially drafting another young quarterback in the mid-round, something along those lines. But something about knowing the Pittsburgh Steelers organization, how they're extremely loyal, knowing that Matt Canada was the offensive coordinator here, it just feels like Kenny Pickett is going to get one more shot to prove that he is the guy here in Pittsburgh. I mean, you can make an argument whether or not that's the right decision, but I think that's what's going to happen, and I'd put a 60% label on that. All right, so if you want more Steelers news and rumors content on Twitter/X, I also do my film analysis on my Twitter account. You can go check me out at Jack_Sperry. And then also make sure you click that subscribe button. Really do appreciate all of your support, guys. That'll be that will be it for the end of today's show. Really do appreciate all of your support. I will see you guys next time. And until next time, here we go, Steelers. All right, so one segment down, 2 to go, Mr. Coop.
Kenny Pickett will not start the game on Sunday.
I know that that's your take, but I'm just telling you, don't be shocked if he starts on Sunday.
I would be shocked.
Especially because like guys like Schefter and Rappaport tweeted out yesterday that Tomlin was like, Rudolph is starting no matter what. That's not what he said. He said Rudolph is the starter right now, and then we're going to evaluate Pickett's health and then make a decision. That's what he said. He gave no conclusive answer, and they were running with it like Mason Rudolph is for sure starting. That's not what Mike Tomlin said. That's what I wish he said.
I think he gave no conclusive answer. 2 reasons. 1, he doesn't want to give the Seahawks any competitive advantage letting know who is starting. Number 2, he doesn't want to kill Kenny's confidence and say, hey, look, you're not going to start this week. So he wants to protect him in the media.
Okay, so for your first, let me address both of those right now. Number 1, how does not naming a starting quarterback give you a competitive advantage?
Got to prepare for both. The Seahawks
what are you talking about? How does the defensive plan change from Mason Rudolph to Kenny Pickett?
You tell me. I don't know.
The answer is it doesn't.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Maybe it does.
It might change if you go from Lamar Jackson to Mason Rudolph, but it's not for Mason Rudolph to Kenny Pickett.
Pickett is not starting the ball game this week.
So got rid of number 1, all right? Doesn't give you a competitive advantage. Let's go to number 2, the embarrassment part of it. He's a grown-ass man. Who cares?
I agree with that, but he's still a young quarterback in the league, and Tomlin wants to protect him.
I don't think that he's just trying to protect him. I think that Pickett is questionable to play this week, and because of that, Rudolph is going to start the week as the starter, and then if Pickett progresses enough throughout the week, he's going to get the start.
No way.
Now, I don't think that's going to happen. If it's truly a competition between who plays better in practice this week, I think Rudolph will actually play better than Pickett because I actually think he's the better quarterback right now.
Pickett.
I think his footwork is better. I think I don't know about the accuracy, but I would still say he's a little bit more accurate. I think his mental processing is a lot better. His pocket presence is a lot better. I mean, I'm watching the film this week for the Steelers offense. It was like watching a competent quarterback for the first time this season. And it's like I'm rooting for Kenny. I really am. And he hasn't had the best circumstances, but I'm so tired of people using that as a crutch. There's so many things on Pickett's film that have nothing to do with play calling, that have nothing to do with his offensive line, and it's on him. And you have to be able to acknowledge those things, and I'm just not sure getting a new offensive coordinator is going to magically fix him. And my biggest fear is they keep him as the starter next year because you have to give the quarterback another year because the offensive coordinator was bad. And then he stinks again, and then people are going to blame Tomlin for it, and they're going to say blame or fire Tomlin again next year because Kenny Pickett is dog water, and we're back to square one, and we waste another year of TJ Watt, another year of Cam Hayward, another year of Minkah Fitzpatrick. And I'm done wasting seasons of those guys' primes.
All I know is Kenny Pickett's not playing this week.
It better be Mason.
The only way
all I better say, I'm going to say, is it better be Mason.
The only way Pickett plays is if Mason stinks in the first half and then they put Pickett back in. That's the only way.
Trey O'Neill says, I just heard Dan Moore got another holding penalty. Yep, he's always
Dan
holding,
Moore
man.
Freaking blows.
Dan Moore is always holding, man. Goodness gracious. Okay.
Ready?
Yeah, man. So we got enough questions?
Yeah.
All right, so we got enough questions to get into the Steelers talk. Prize picks for this one as well. All right, let's get into these questions. Can't wait to see what you have for me. Let's get into the Steelers Talk live mailbag coming at you right now. It is week 17 in the 2023 NFL season. You guys are watching Steelers Talk by Chat Sports. I am your host, Jack Sperry, and today I'm going to be answering your questions on the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is 2 weeks left to go in the season. Before we get into this week's mailbag and all the questions, ideas that you guys got for me, do me a favor, click that subscribe button to join the most interactive Steelers community here on YouTube, 100% free. We do a weekly live mailbag here on our live show on Wednesdays. And if you want to have your voice heard, if you want to get your Steelers ideas out there here on YouTube, this is the perfect opportunity. Click that subscribe button and join us for our live shows every single Wednesday. And with that, I'll pause and open it up for questions. And we got one from Jacob Wizerack, a $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Jacob. Says, what do y'all think of cleaning house of the coaching staff except Tomlin, wide receiver coach, special teams coach, running back coach, and our D-line coach? Get a new DC, O-line coach, DB coach, and linebackers coach. So I really like this question, Jacob. I really do. I don't think they're going to get a new DC. I think they're going to keep Terrell Austin, and I know he's not the most popular guy among Steelers fans out there, but I do think that this Steelers defense is giving up less than 20 points per game. That's pretty darn good, okay? So I'm looking at the Steelers defense this year playing pretty darn well. They've dealt with a lot of injuries, so I'm not putting all of, let's say, the defensive struggles this year, especially towards the end of the season, on Terrell Austin. So I think he's going to stay. Obviously, you're getting a new offensive coordinator. I think the O-line coach, Pat Meyer, absolutely needs to go. There's no question about that. But, you know, when it comes to a generalization as a whole, I think that you need to get more coaches in here, not less. The Steelers have the lowest amount of coaches in their building than any other NFL team right now. Get more coaches, not less. And if you need to make adjustments, make those adjustments. I trust Mike Tomlin to make those changes. Then we got $10 super chat here from Just Webb's World. He says, I'm good on the whack-a-mole song, talking about the Mason Rudolph song. So, says, what pick should make us want to grab a quarterback? Because if we win out, we are not going to have a high pick in the first round. So I'm looking at the 2024 NFL draft right now, and if you're going to be taking a quarterback, it's probably going to be in the middle to late first round, depending on how the rest of the season kind of works out. Probably looking at a guy like Jaden Daniels. If he falls that far, it seems like he's rising up draft boards right now. J.J. McCarthy is certainly an option. Michael Penix Jr. is somebody that's going to be right there as well. But I'm definitely not in the camp of wanting to lose these football games. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are always an organization looking to score points and win football games. And I don't think it's the right call to want the team to lose games or to actively tank at this point. Then we get one from Eric Williams here. It says, besides Williams and May, which quarterback in the NFL draft would you most like to see in a Steelers uniform? So this is a good question. I would probably say Michael Penix Jr. Depending on how the medical checks out with him, he's been dealing with knee issues his whole career. Depending on how that pans out, he has the best deep ball, arguably, of any quarterback in this draft not named Caleb Williams, and he might be even better than that. He's got a rocket of an arm. He can get through progressions. No, he's had some help there in Washington with some of the best wide receivers you could ask for. A really good offensive line as well. So it's going to be interesting getting into his tape. Haven't really dug in too much to any of these guys' tapes. I've done some stuff, some preliminary work, but I still need to really get into the weeds. But if I have to pick one guy right now, I'd probably pick Michael Penix Jr. out of the University of Washington. Let me know down there in the comments section who is the best QB not named Caleb Williams or Drake May for the Pittsburgh Steelers to potentially draft. Type JD for Jaden Daniels, MP for Michael Penix Jr., BN for Bo Nix, or JJ for JJ McCarthy. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. All right, so we got another $10 super chat here from Just Webb's World. He says, seriously, should we be concerned about Jones because if he can't outstart Dan Moore Jr., he was graded as one of the worst, if not the worst, left tackle. Should we think about drafting another left tackle? Yes. Definitely think about taking another tackle in this year's draft class. Broderick might be actually more of a natural right tackle than a left tackle. He's always been more of a run blocker than a pass protector. He's actually been pretty darn good on the right. I think that's where he's played the best. I'm not sure if he's the best in terms of pass protection. I think he's more of a run blocker at this point. And if they can get a really good left tackle in round 1, I think they could absolutely go out and get somebody in the draft. Then we got one from Young Noticeable 25. He says, if Rudolph gets the nod Sunday, what does that say about Midget Mitt's future? So that's Kenny Pickett talking about Midget Mitts. So I think that what that means, it's gonna depend on how Mason plays, really. If Mason plays well again and he has to play Week 18 and Kenny doesn't play for the rest of the season, I think it's definitely possible that the Pittsburgh Steelers end up getting a replacement for Kenny Pickett here in the 2024 offseason. I think it's possible either way, even if Kenny plays, but it's definitely looking like there's going to be a shot for the Pittsburgh Steelers to go out and get a Kenny Pickett replacement at some point this offseason. All right, so now before I get to the rest of the questions today, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Prize Picks. Go to as a match up to $100 today. If you want to spice up your game days this NFL season, you can get started with Prize Picks today. Prize Picks is a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game. And if you're looking for a more fun way to spend your game days, Prize Picks is perfect for you. Here's how you play. You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they'll go for more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can even win up to 25 times your money on any entry. You can check it out now at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. At Prize Picks, you aren't competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks that are just looking to take advantage of you. With Prize Picks, it takes less than 60 seconds to make your picks. So get started right away. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. All right, so we got one from Tim Green here. It says, as a lifelong Browns fan, can you win out and beat the Ratbirds if they lose to Miami and the Steelers? Can you win out and beat the Ratbirds? So they're saying, can we beat Seattle, beat the Ravens, and then beat the Ravens again in the playoffs on the road? Beating the Ravens twice in a row is going to be a real chore, man. I'm not going to lie. That's going to be really, really tough. I'm not too sure if they could do that. I'm going to probably say no to this question, just being completely objective and honest. I don't think the Steelers can win 2 games in a row against the Ravens on the road. Can they beat them once and get in? Maybe, but can they do it again? I guess we'll have to see. Then we got one from Truck and Steeler here. It says, what is more likely, Tomlin getting an extension this offseason or Tomlin leaving the organization? Definitely getting an extension. Mike Florio reported that the Art Rooney II, the owner, wants to give Tomlin an extension. So if you're somebody that's wanting Mike Tomlin to get fired, I would say don't hold your breath. It definitely looks like to me like the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin will come to an agreement on a contract extension. And I think Tomlin, at the end of the day, is probably going to be here 20-plus years when it's all said and done. Now, let me know down there in the comments section. If you're Art Rooney II, if you're Omar Khan, what are you doing with Mike Tomlin? Type F if you're firing him. Type E if you're going to give him an extension, or type N for you're going to keep him, but you're not going to give him an extension. Then we got one from Kermit is my God. Says, will Najee Harris be a Steeler next year? Yes, I do believe so. Don't think they'll pick up his fifth-year option, but I don't think they're going to trade him. I still think Jaylen Warren is going to be here, obviously. I think he'll be the number one back heading into next year, hopefully. I hope the new offensive coordinator sees that. And Najee will be more of the power back, more of the secondary kind of short yardage kind of guy here in Pittsburgh moving forward. Seems like the offense is already making that shift. Jaylen Warren has already taken more snaps than Najee over the last 2 weeks, so it seems like they're starting to catch on that Jaylen Warren is the number one back here in Pittsburgh. Then we got one from Christian Andujar here. So should the Steelers draft a center and left tackle in the first and second round? So you definitely need to get a center, and you definitely need to get another offensive tackle at some point in the offseason. Do you necessarily need to do it in that order? Not necessarily. You got other needs. You probably want another receiver. You might want to go get another inside linebacker because Quan Alexander is a free agent. A strong safety is another need that the Steelers have. So I'm not going to necessarily say the Steelers need to go this to this in the draft because you just don't know what they're going to get in free agency. You don't know all these different things yet. So I wouldn't mind if it was a center and a left tackle, first 2 picks in the draft. But, definitely I want to see how the things shake out at the start of the offseason, specifically in free agency. So do me a favor right now. Click that thumbs up icon if you are a Steelers Talk Real One. You watch just about all of our shows here, and you support the channel. Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys do. All right, now we got one from Etheria here, a Gold Club member, $2 super chat. So should we have Mason as first quarterback for next season? No. I mean, unless he absolutely blows it up at the end of the season and then goes into the playoffs and wins a playoff game, I don't see it, guys. I mean, I know that Mason is a good quality backup, but, let's face it, it wasn't a perfect game against the Bengals, right? He missed a wide-open slot fade that was wide open for a touchdown, right? So it's not like Mason Rudolph is the savior. It's not like he's going to be the franchise quarterback, all right? I think he's a good backup. I'd like to have him back as a backup next year if they could pull it off. But as the first quarterback starter next year, I just don't really see any shot of that unless he somehow wins a playoff game. Then we got one from Chase Jr. here. It says, why are the Steelers trying to win games right now? They have no chance at winning a Super Bowl. Why don't they just tank for a better draft pick? So I guess the way I'll, first of all, I'll just say I understand why you feel this way. You want the better draft pick, all these different things. You get more options. But at the end of the day, I want the Steelers to win football games. And really, I'm somebody that wants them to win football games and make the playoffs, because if they can make the playoffs with this team, with all the problems that they've had offensively, I mean, that tells you that this team is not that far away, man. And I don't think this team is that far away. I really don't. I really think that if you get the right offensive play caller and the right quarterback in place, this team's going to be ready to compete for Super Bowls again. And all the people that are blaming Mike Tomlin for all these struggles when he hasn't had a good offensive coordinator and he hasn't had a good quarterback. And listen, granted, he has played a role in not having a good quarterback and a good offensive coordinator, a big role to play in that. But it's just really hard to win in this league if you don't have a quarterback and you don't have an offensive coordinator. And Mike Tomlin has really made the most out of having some really crappy circumstances in the later Big Ben years and then in the early stages of Kenny Pickett's career. So I think that once they can figure that out with the defense that they have here, with the roster that they have, I really think this team can get back to competing for and potentially even winning Super Bowls with Mike Tomlin. Again, that's just my opinion. And I believe that if you win football games here at the end of the season, it doesn't really hurt or help you in terms of draft. You have to go out and draft the right players anyway. So draft positioning is something that I'm not super concerned about right now. So let me know down there in the comment section. What say you guys? Should the Steelers tank the final 2 games of the season to get better draft positioning? Type yes or type no. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. All right, that'll be it for me today, guys. Really do appreciate all of your support. Thank you guys so much for everything that you do for our channel. We appreciate you. We love you. We support you. Make sure you click that subscribe button, and we'll catch you guys later. All right. 2 down, 1 to go here, Mr. Coop.
If you're saying the Steelers should tank, I think you're nuts.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I understand where people are coming from, saying that they want the Steelers to have a better draft pick. I understand it. I don't agree with it.
Tim Green, he's a real one on our Browns Report channel, so that's why he's saying he thinks the Steelers should tank.
Well, of course, Tim Green thinks that.
Of course he does.
If the Browns fans say they want the Steelers to do something, that means don't do it.
By the way, our bosses totally effed me, and tomorrow night I'm on the freaking Browns Report, so I'm going to try to tank their channel.
Do it.
I will.
Yeah, tank it.
I'm going to
push the wrong graphics.
Absolutely. Every single thing
Just
will be wrong.
fuck with Petey all night
doubt.
long, dude.
I got effed by our bosses.
By the way, I don't know if you guys could tell on the last, I noticed it a little bit. My tongue is currently bleeding. And it's...
What is going on?
And occasionally it gets on my teeth. And you can tell half my smile at some points in that mailbag were completely... Yeah, Coop, I need to figure something out here.
You're all right there.
I don't know. My tongue is bleeding a lot right now. So I'm going to go maybe figure something out here.
Second.
If you want to go full
out.
Screen for 5 minutes, I'm going to try to figure something out cuz this is weird as hell.
Give me one moment. I'll get on screen.
Cuz there's a lot of blood right now.
All right, go ahead.
George Pickens says, I don't know why Jack Sperry thinks Kenny's playing. I don't think he's playing. I'm saying there's a chance that he does play.
All right, Sperry will be back. He's going to go figure out what the hell's going on with him. Cassie says you're falling apart. I kind of agree. I don't know what's going on. What do you guys think the percent chance Kenny Pickett is the starting QB next season is? Let us know. Tim Green says Cooper and Flacco time. Tim Green, I'll see you tomorrow night. Ben Roethlisberger GOAT says 100. No way. Parker Gamer, I apologize. I'll go look for it. We had some technical difficulties during that one where we lost internet in the middle of it. Let me see what it is. Trade for Brian Cook, Christian Gonzalez, Devin Witherspoon, a good young right tackle, and put Broderick back. Yeah, they can't trade for Christian Gonzalez and Devin Witherspoon because that would cost about 5 first-round picks. So that will not happen. I am sorry to burst your bubble. Hot Rod, I'm with you. I think it's 50-50. I literally think it's 50-50. They might go with Kenny Pickett next season, or they might go get... There's so many options on the table right now. Pickett, it's either Pickett going into year 3, you go find a veteran free agent like a Jacoby Brissett, you go trade for a veteran like a Geno Smith. I think it's all up in the air. All up in the air. Ethereum says, Sperry, you're too old to be falling apart. You old people stop staying in your young man lane without random injuries. What's going on over there, Spare Dog? Are you all right? Spare Dog doesn't know if he's okay. You might want to go get that checked out after work instead of going to the Mavs game. Hell no. Sperry says, hell no. Trey O'Neill says, sign Cooper Rush to be the backup. Sure. Kenny Pickettsburg says, Colin Kaepernick. Why not? Bro, that's a lot of blood. You need to go get that checked out. Care now, bro. Cassie, you need to take Jack to care now after the game. Or after the show. If we need to hang it up, we can hang it up and you can do this one tomorrow. We may be cutting this one early because Jack Sperry is in shambles right now. Cassie says, suck on an ice cube. Do you want to cut it short? Yeah, let's cut it. Okay. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll get on and I'll sign off.
We are gonna sign off this piece because Jack Sperry is dying in front of our eyes. He's a dying man. So we are gonna cut this short. We will have 3 segments, don't worry. We still have our draft target segment that will be going out later in the week. So don't worry about that. but we are going to cut this piece short. Sperry's going to come back on here for 2 seconds. There's Jack Sperry.
All right, so I have no idea what's happening. I don't know if you guys noticed last.
I noticed. That's why I brought you a water bottle.
The last segment, I looked down, I looked down on the screen here that we have in front of us, the monitor, and half my smile is red.
Don't show the blood.
I'm not showing the blood, but my tongue is bleeding a lot right now, and I don't know why. So we're gonna cut it short here. I want to give you guys, the best content I can. I'll do the final segment tomorrow.
Yes.
And then we will have a cut that goes out every day this week. But yeah, I don't want you guys to be looking at a bloody smile here for the final segment. So we'll catch you guys later. We'll catch you for the live watch party on Sunday. Hopefully.
We will be 100% for the watch party.
Hopefully my tongue is okay by then.
If Sperry's tongue is not okay, I'll do the watch party myself.
Okay, so that'll be it for this one, man. I appreciate everybody that stopped by here. I appreciate all 140 real ones. Make sure you click that thumbs up icon for me real quick. Let's get to 100 likes before we say goodbye. But yeah, I just don't want to do a whole nother segment with a bloody smile here.
No worries. We will see you fools on Sunday. Be there, be square. It's do or die for the Steelers' playoff chances. It's Steelers and Seahawks. Everyone better come hot and better come correct.
Okay, guys, that'll be it for today's show. We'll see you guys Sunday afternoon. And until